Aliens?
Aliens.
Yes. But maybe no. Welcome back, you guys. Welcome to I said welcome. I'm saying welcome too many times, I think. Scratch this. Josh deleted all. Welcome to the show. Aliens.
Yes.
But maybe no. I'm Travis.
I'm Josh.
And this is an otherworldly podcast as ambiguous as our title.
Should we do that first part again?
No, leave it. Double it.
An episode of just intros.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we need. We haven't recorded in a couple of weeks, so I'm a little rusty. I got too excited to introduce the show. So I said, welcome. I am very happy that you guys are here listening to us. I will say that.
I am too.
Triple the welcome, Josh.
Most of the episodes we've recorded that are being released, we recorded and had no episodes out. So now we have a few episodes out, and it's kind of cool to see people listening to it, hearing some feedback. We're in a different era now in our podcast.
We have people listening to the show?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to be a lot quieter.
Shy. Little shy boy.
Mm-hmm. So, what are we doing today? Do we want to talk about what we did on our last episode? I can't even remember.
We did the final segment of the congressional hearings.
That was our last episode. That was months ago.
Yeah, we did it in January. We did Immaculate Constellation.
That's right.
Which is still creepy. It bothers me that all exists and the government is doing all this stuff. I'm almost speechless with it. Like, come on.
Well, don't be speechless. This is a podcast, so we need that from you,
I will
Josh.
use speech.
Okay.
For the listeners.
Whew.
Yeah.
I'm used to doing all the heavy lifting on the show, so that's good.
Yeah, we call you the talent.
No, you don't.
Yeah, we do. We clean the house when you come.
I think that's
the talent's coming.
That's sarcasm.
So yeah, we finished that. We went through. So if you haven't heard those episodes, I recommend listening to them. It's pretty informative. We kind of go through, if you haven't been following any of the congressional stuff or anything that has been released with that, we'll kind of give you the elementary equivalent of information for that.
The aliens, yes, but maybe no notes of it. Like Cliff's notes, but for our show.
Yeah. So in this Immaculate Constellation at the very end, like we do every episode, we kind of give a sneak peek for the next topic.
Yeah.
And we did a quiz about this topic.
I got to say, like, instant boner when I read the title of the topic for today.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it nonstop.
It is a very interesting title. So today we're talking about sky battles. Just the thought of sky battles is so fucking cool.
Some days I would wake up and I would open my eyes and just say, sky battle.
You know what I did last night just to get ready for this? I watched Top Gun.
Hey, that's great.
Yeah. Guess what's in Top Gun?
Sky battles.
Volleyball.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they had that too.
Yeah, and sky battles.
And sky battles, yeah.
Which is a lot of fun. I haven't seen that. I watched it with my youngest.
I was more of a fan of Iron Eagle.
Oh, with Louis Gossett Jr.
Yeah, that was my jam.
Okay.
So sky battles, you love it?
I love the idea of it. Absolutely. I think it's fun.
Yeah, and I think we can hold on to that idea. So when you're feeling like a little skepticism, I can just reel it in and be like, Travis, sky battles.
We introduce the fact that sky battles have maybe existed, and now let's just move on to the quiz for the next episode. Okay?
Yeah, do your own research.
End of episode.
Yeah, we did our research. We don't need to talk about it. You do your research, and then we'll just move on to the sneak peek for next episode.
Yeah, next episode, yeah.
So today we are going to talk about sky battles, UFO cosmic incidences that were witnessed by the masses.
Okay, I do have some exception about mass witnesses because all we have are like one or two witnesses claiming there were mass witnesses, at least in the first two with the leaflets. Right? They say that there was a bunch of people that witnessed this, but these leaflets were written and printed by these two religious historians.
Yeah, I mean, what else are they going to do? I mean, there's nothing. There's no electricity. Like, when something happens, everyone is going to see it. There's nothing else to do.
Well,
they're not inside because there's no electricity. Everyone is outside most of the time.
Oh, I think that there are a lot of people still inside.
Oh, no.
Doing housework and taking care of kids. Men are outside. This is the 1500s, so there was a lot of work being done outside. There's a lot of things to do inside. Candles exist in this world.
Barely.
Okay, but sunlight is also a thing.
Anyways, let's get into this. So there are 4 pretty big, and there are more than this, but we are sticking with 4 big events that have happened in history that were theoretically unexplainable. There's a couple fiery spheres over medieval Europe.
Mm-hmm.
There were shadowy ships engaged in an aerial combat. And more recently, there was a mysterious presence over Los Angeles. All of these have just kind of defied an explanation over the centuries.
So these are all accounts that we're going to talk about. Let's just get into it then. We'll go through this, I guess, chronologically. So we'll start with the Nuremberg.
Yeah, we'll start with Nuremberg. I'm just going to start out. I mean, it sounds like we're on the same page where we both believe that these are absolutely alien experiences. But it's obvious, but we'll talk about it. So, the battle over Nuremberg. Where's Nuremberg?
Where is it?
Germany?
Where is it, Josh?
It's Germany.
Okay.
Where else would a town with that name come from?
Everybody knows that it's Germany.
So, according to a broadsheet, what's a broadsheet, by the way? That's the one thing I didn't look up. I've heard of it, I've seen them, but I don't know the actual definition.
So, a broadsheet is just basically a big piece of paper. The printing press was invented in 1400s. And this broadsheet was like, I think there were hundreds of these like leaflets that were just dropped throughout the town, right? And not just about this specific incidents, but they were in wide use as how people would communicate.
Like news, like they would have the bulletin board, basically the town board.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And this was just one of those things. And it's bigger than like a regular leaflet.
But it is just a broad
it's
sheet.
Just a big piece of paper.
Broad as in large.
Yeah.
A big piece of paper.
Yeah.
Usually with an image and then some writing underneath.
It's like the basic format that you'd see in a newspaper, which print media is kind of going away. We don't see a lot of newspapers, but that is the basic
So what's
format.
a newspaper?
Oh my God.
I've seen them, but I just don't know what they are.
It's this thing that you use to clean your mirrors in your house with.
You start fires with them, campfires.
You can start fires with them, yeah.
I just save up all my newspapers I get in the mail for little fires.
I used to have a paper out, and we would always have newspapers that we would get too many for the amount of customers that we have, so we would save those. And when we'd go camping, you could shred that newspaper and use that to start a fire.
Paper boy?
Mm-hmm.
Cute.
Take this out, Josh. I feel like I'm doxing myself. I don't want to give out too much personal information.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Like the way I dress, the activities I'm into, basically everything except for my social security number, which I'm afraid is going to be released somehow. We know what kind of car I drive.
You could have changed cars since then.
I have changed cars. Absolutely. I have changed cars.
Yeah. You drive a very similar rocket car that Bob Lazar drove.
I did.
You just became obsessed with it.
Mm-hmm.
We know you were in a swing band.
I was in a swing dance group. Yep.
Yeah, that was a shock to me.
I'm naturally gifted with groove. So anyway, what we talked about was a broadsheet. Broadsheet is just like a basic newspaper where it's vertically set up. Articles are placed within and they go top to bottom.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So according to this broadsheet, which is now archived in Zurich.
Mm-hmm. And where's Zurich?
Oh, no one knows that. It's
Nobody
a lost city.
Yep, it's down at the bottom of the ocean with Atlantis.
Yeah. On the morning of April 14th, 1561, in Nuremberg, when it was a free imperial city of the Holy Roman Empire, a strange sight filled the skies. So basically, the broadsheet's pretty long. This is the cliff notes of that, what we thought was important and what our researcher thought was important. So this is the eyewitness account. In the morning of April 14th, 1561, at daybreak, between 4 and 5 a.m., a dreadful apparition occurred on the sun. At first, there appeared in the middle of the sun 2 blood-red semicircled arcs, and in the sun, above and below on both sides, the color was blood. There stood a round ball of partly dull, partly black color. Likewise, there stood on both sides, and as a torus about the sun, such blood-red ones and other balls in large numbers, about 3 in a line and 4 in a square. Also, some alone. In between these globes, there were visible blood-red crosses, between which there were blood-red stripes. These all started to fight among themselves. They all fell from the sun down upon the earth as if they all burned, and they then wasted away on the earth with immense smoke. After all this, there was something like a black spear sighted. So that's basically, I mean, it goes on in detail a little bit. A lot of religious things were said in the full context.
So you can find, if you look this up, there is a German Wikipedia page, and you can get a translated version of that. But yes, these leaflets were thrown out, and it's a way for like the church of the time to spread its doctrine. And so a lot of these leaflets do have a religious context to them. And they are also because literacy wasn't widespread,
They use pictures a lot.
and then they would have people, read these. You'd have town criers or pastor or religious leader of the area who could read would read these out to their congregation. So a lot of them did have religious context to them. And so the author, being somebody who is like a religious historian, like these two people that we'll talk about for the Basil thing, they are going to interpret this in a religious way.
Yeah.
They're going to look at something, could be, during this research, there's these things called sundogs, where in the middle latitudes, that being like where we are situated here in our state, and across Europe, those are considered middle latitudes, between 0, the equator, and then the poles.
Okay.
And these sundogs occur when it's a little colder out, and usually in the morning or in the evening, and it's light being refracted off of a certain kind of cloud, like a cirrus cloud.
Yeah.
And it looks like kind of a halo around the sun. So they are attributing maybe what they're seeing and taking a religious angle to interpret what they saw. I also think that maybe it could have been, I don't know if you know what a murmuration is.
I think I have one of those on my back.
If it's moving around, that's something you need to get checked out.
Oh,
Josh.
okay.
But murmurations happen when flocks of birds will move or migrate. So they see it a lot in swallows, especially in the UK and a lot of Northern Europe. There are also murmurations in Rome. And then looking through Reddit, somebody saw murmurations in Portland. So swallow populations now are on the decline, but back in the 1500s, I imagine that there were a lot of birds around. Birds are scavengers and they're very opportunistic and will pick up trash. And so the bird population back then was in probably a little better health. We also see murmurations in things like locusts and in bug populations.
Okay. So those are potential natural things.
Those are potential natural things. And if you are inclined to think everything is a religious event, then you're going to document that in that way.
So I don't know if these guys thought it was a complete religious event.
They did. They wrote about it.
Because, listen to the last couple of sentences of the leaflet and then make your decision. It says, "After all, the God-fearing will by no means discard these signs, but will take it to heart as a warning of their merciful Father in heaven, will mend their lives and faithfully beg God that he may avert his wrath, including the well-deserved punishment, on us, so that we may temporarily here and perpetually there live as his children. For it, may God grant us his help. Amen." So I don't see a lot of religious context.
Yeah, I don't either. Exactly. Brilliant. You pulled the rug right out from under me.
It says things, despise such high signs and miracles of God, or in order that God may send us frightening punishment on account for our ungratefulness. It was religious heavy.
Very religious heavy.
Whatever such signs mean, God alone knows.
Yeah.
It was riddled with little or
Josh,
big...
I'm going to say I wanted to believe this so bad until I started reading some of the stuff. And it is so open to religious interpretation and the way they're viewing things, which I think is
not even the religious people, even just the common folk in that time, everything was viewed through a religious lens.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
And if you were a part of a different religious subsect, then you were made to leave that area. We saw during the Spanish Inquisition this happened, where Spain was trying to form one state church. And so all Muslims and Jews were either forced to leave the country, and then that spread throughout parts of Europe, but mostly Spain. But these inquisitions where they were trying to suss out heretics, it created a certain level of fear amongst the population where they were just worried that they were going to be believing the wrong thing. And these people in power trying to force them to believe in a certain way.
My thing is just because from the little thing I read at the beginning, it talks about how there were rows and there was multiple things. So that kind of takes away the sundog or something like that for me. But I think we can't discount what they saw because of religious views. If that's the only way they know how to communicate,
I'm not saying we can discount it. I'm not saying that they didn't see something. I'm saying that they interpreted it as a religious event. And so we're getting, and like we said, literacy wasn't widespread. So the few people that could read and write also controlled all the information that came out there.
Well, the only people that could read and write learned it from the church.
Yep.
So that's really all they know. And then because basically they were granted permission to learn that from the church, they have to incorporate the church in everything.
Yep.
Come on. Sky battles, Travis. Anytime I doubted when doing my research, all I said was, but sky battles.
Come on, it's sky battles, dude. Get your head in the game.
Yeah, what am I doing?
Just believe in this.
and then I would.
Yeah.
So there are some theories, like you mentioned, some of the atmospheric phenomenons like the sundog or other natural optical illusions. Some ufological.
Ufological. One of the videos that we watched, the guy said it. It's just such like an awkwardly put together name.
Yeah, it feels like it has an extra syllable.
Ufological.
Ufological.
God, English. What a beautiful language.
Yeah. Some consider it a potential sighting of extraterrestrial spacecraft engaged in some form of battle, because they mentioned these weren't just dots.
Well, we're talking about like our audience that think that, but there are a lot of interpretations.
You might have listeners and fans. They're like, yeah, I listen because I want to hear.
Yeah, but we're talking about people that are on the outer edges of culture, like
fringe.
You would say fringe. Sure.
Yeah. Well, they correctly believe that it is extraterrestrial spacecrafts engaged in some sort of battle, because they mentioned that there was battle, they were in fighting formations, they were moving around. Either this was the first piece of sci-fi ever written,
or... Well, and that was also something, like we are looking at what you would call purple writing, where they take these artistic flourishes, like saying blood red moon and solid ferrous smoke or things like that, where it's not written or documented in a scientific way. It's got a lot of flowery language.
Yeah, which I can appreciate.
Okay.
As a very artistic, flowery, handsome...
Okay, yeah. But that's what I'm saying, is that this specific broadsheet, this leaflet, was written by one author, and this author had a bent towards flowery language. And so he's going to look at this and he's going to like zhuzh it up a little bit, so that people will read it and find some sort of interest or value in it. And I don't think he was necessarily documenting it. I mean, it's not like he had a camera and then was recording this and then taking it back to his little hut and watching this video play out as he was writing it. He witnessed this thing. This person witnessed a supposed event happen. And then who knows what he did? Went about his day, went and picked up his apples, and then came back. And so it was all a remembrance. And this was done on a broadsheet, so it wasn't handwritten. He had to go to a press and then get all the typesettings set up. And so there was a process to it. And so I think with every iteration of this story, it changed a little bit. And he, used more and more colorful language. I don't have any documentation, obviously, but that's just my interpretation of it, knowing the little I know about historical texts from this time.
Okay, well, let's not make assumptions.
We're making a huge assumption with this podcast, like assuming that it's aliens. So I'm going to make my own assumptions.
I'm just saying what you've said to me in the past.
Yes, okay.
I just want to...
Good, I'm glad that you're thinking skeptically about this, Josh. Push back.
Okay. So the only reason that we actually were able to see this broadsheet was because of a guy named Carl Jung.
Yes.
In 1958, he had a book come out called Flying Saucers, A Modern Myth of Things Seen in the Skies. And this was in that book.
I mean, it's in a museum. This is in a museum in Zurich. We talked about that at the top of the show.
Yeah, but in the widespread world, like we probably wouldn't have noticed this. He pulled this out from their archive.
Well,
not literally, but he printed a book with this in it, and it went out to the masses. And he believed it was likely a natural event with religious and military interpretations overlaid by observers. He stated, if the UFOs were living organisms, one would think of a swarm of insects rising with the sun.
There we go. Murmuration.
Not to fight one another, but to mate and celebrate the marriage of flight. He also suggests that imagery could be tied to concepts of individuation and revelation of the light. No idea what that means. So that's psychological, professional looking at this and saying, nah, this doesn't check out. And a lot of psychologists, like historical psychologists, studying people's minds and how they thought and worked in history, they have an upper hand in this kind of situation than most of us. There's also the military theory. The tubes were interpreted as cannons and spheres as cannonballs, emphasizing the fighting aspect of the sighting.
Which we'll see play out with the Battle of Los Angeles, perhaps.
Possibly. And then saying crosses, I don't know. That seems odd.
Again, that's religious interpretation. I think it was the Basel leaflet does mention that a figure was seen within this battle or whatever. All this chaos, there was a figure floating in the sky.
Well, let's hop over to the Basel, because the Basel phenomenon, or the celestial phenomenon over Basel, that happened not too long after.
Like 5 years, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was 1561 was Nuremberg, and this is 1566, Basel, Switzerland.
Yeah.
So very similar latitudes, same region of Europe.
Yeah. So pretty similar situations too, but this one lasted over the course of a week, which is crazy. So red and black spheres moved with unnatural precision, twisting and turning into the morning sky. As the sun rose blood red on the horizon, reports described what seemed to be a conflict, an organized battle between these mysterious objects. So the eyewitness account, this is what the leaflet said. During the year 1566, on the 27th of July, the sun lost all its radiance and luster, and it seemed to weep tears of blood, and the air behind him went dark. The next day, the sun rose at about 6 o'clock and slept with the same appearance, as if everything was blood red and fiery. At the dawn of August 7th, we saw large black spheres coming and going with great speed and precision. Many of them were fiery red and soon crumbled and then extinguished. So it's kind of the same thing, except it lasted a lot longer. And that was also Cliff Notes as well. Kind of had the same feel as the other one,
Sure.
The broadsheet.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about this account?
This account is a lot more bizarre to me than the Nuremberg.
For sure. I agree with you 100% on that.
I mean, having the sky just kind of littered with black dots, I have yet to see anything or hear about anything like that. I mean, that is sci-fi shit.
Yeah.
And then them moving around kind of in formation, it just seems a lot scarier. The blood red, all that stuff. You know, I looked up fires during that time. I looked up volcanic eruptions.
See, and that's what I was thinking, is that a lot of cities of this time would butt up right against a forest. A forest was a huge resource. That's where you would go to find food and heat. And I mean, it was a place where you could go to, it was like setting up your camp or your town next to the sea.
It's a resource.
And forests do catch on fire quite often. And it's about, managing those forests. During a fire, the sun can look very red and hazy, and you can get things in the air, and you see wildlife and birds flying through the air.
Yeah, it is bizarre. I could not find any documentation of volcanic eruptions or fires at that time.
Well, I mean, are there any volcanoes in that area even?
I didn't look that deep.
Okay. Well.
I just went, I mean, there's volcanoes that have gone off that have changed half the Earth's sun image. I don't know.
Good. Well done. Yeah. I mean, the Mount St. Helens erupting in 1980, I believe. That darkened the sky, and we were getting ash here in our state from that eruption.
Yeah. And I mean, and that can happen.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I went into this skeptical.
Good.
I wanted to do my due diligence, and I was coming up with different possibilities, and I knew that volcanic incidences could create weird things, and those could be interpreted by a lesser mind of the Middle Ages as something religious, or, I mean, extraterrestrial wasn't really a thing back then, but something bizarre.
Okay. You did say fires, and that's, as you were reading this, that was what first sprung to my mind was.
Yeah, I mean, that happens
and
here when we have fires.
Maybe not really knowing why the sun looks a certain way because of, like, how a fire and smoke will change your immediate viewing if you're close to that fire.
Yeah. I really think this one is a little more interesting just because how long it lasted. The battle part, it's just odd to me. I mean, Switzerland, they didn't really fight much, did they?
Yeah, absolutely they did. This was like feudal Europe. Everybody's vying for power. All these little burgs are fighting against each other just to get a little bit of leverage and gain a little more territory. Like, some of the darkest periods of human history happened during this time.
So that would confirm what I was thinking, is these people are familiar with battle and battle formation. I was thinking battle formations in the sky are very different than ground formations. So if they're interpreting sky battle formations from what they know on the ground, it's still very bizarre movement.
Well, we're looking at, like, to use your comparison, a fight on the ground is going to be different in the air. Yes, of course. We are looking at, like, two-dimensional down here where everything is flat and linear. We might have cannonballs coming, but that is, a trajectory you can track. To use Top Gun, I was talking to my kid about this last night. That's what makes flying so scary, is that you're navigating through three-dimensional space. You go, yes, left to right, but you can also go up and down.
Yeah.
And you have to be aware of that 360 degrees around you in order to be like a great jet fighter pilot.
Yeah.
To that point, when you're looking at something in the sky and you're looking at the way it moves, it's going to look very odd to you because they're going to be moving up and down, left and right. Diagonally.
Diagonally?
Yeah, diagonally. That was a bad Harry Potter reference.
Yeah.
So yes, looking at that from the ground, it could look very odd. But again, I don't want to like lean too heavily into murmurations, but that is, if you've seen them, they're very loud. I was watching some videos of budgies. They're like parakeets, budgie murmuration in Australia. And it is a very loud thing that happens. And if we're talking about like migration,
Like just like a cacophony of birds.
like, yes, exactly. And if we're talking about migration, yes, that can last over a week. We see cicadas come up and those will last for months down the south. Anyway, I'm just throwing this stuff out there.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. That's why we're here. We're here to talk about sky battles,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
It's very interesting, but we're also relying pretty heavily on like one or two accounts.
Right. It's not like this guy went and interviewed everyone in town and then did his research and then he's writing exactly what he saw.
He's writing what he saw and what he remembers seeing.
And the fact of the matter is we will never know the truth.
No.
It's just a bizarre piece of history. And could there be flourishes? Yeah. But I also don't think that they're just lying either, you know?
You don't think that religious leaders or historians of religious contexts are lying? Do you think these guys are just like telling the truth as they saw it? I did not agree with that.
There were definitely manipulative tactics
Mm-hmm.
used in the church at that time and or still today.
Mm-hmm.
But
this one guy's okay.
This seems outside of that manipulation. This seems more historical, even though it was pampered and flowery with poetic and religious texts and words. It's still telling a story. And it's a story that potentially wouldn't work with a lot of the fear and manipulation that the church was doing at the time. This would make people think and ask questions, and that's what they didn't want.
No, I don't know about that. I think, like we talked about, they had to interpret everything in religious text. So if they saw a fire, then that was an act of God. If they saw bird migration, that was an act of God. Everything was seen through the lens of the church. And I think it was up to people like the guy that recorded this. It was up to them. They felt probably pressure to interpret this in a religious context because the church back then, as did a lot of churches, held a lot of power, and they wanted to control the information that was put out there. And a lot of churches owned the printing press.
So if they wanted to control the narrative and make it a God thing, so maybe a lot of people did see it. So maybe it was a mass sighting and they were trying to put a religious spin on it.
Yep.
So it means,
and who knows what they saw? I mean, it could have been very well. I mean, like I said, we want
sky battles to be real.
I want sky battles to be real. I think that fucking rules. I think it's a fucking incredible idea.
Yeah.
But we're looking at something that was documented by one person 500 years ago.
Yeah.
And so we have to look at it through that lens, through our 2025 lens.
Yeah. And there are theories of what it is. I mean, it could have been meteor showers, a comet, the aurora borealis mixed with some other things, optical illusions caused by atmospheric conditions, or even dust from the Sahara.
Sure.
It could have been rare astronomical events such as a planetary alignment, which I don't think I've seen. We're going to see that here in 2025, I believe. Not a full planetary alignment, but I think like 6 or 7. So, I mean, there are potential things, but there's also potential of it being an aerial battle between UFOs. Possibly.
Sure.
I mean, at that time, nothing flew other than animals. So
cannonballs.
Barely.
Yeah. Yeah. That was just like a long jump, really. Come on, cannonballs. Saying you're flying through the air, that fly is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
I would say rolling through the air.
There we go.
All right. So the next one is the air battle of Stralsund.
Okay.
I don't know if I said that perfectly.
I will say we're going to get pronunciations wrong. So, like, maybe just chill out if you're going to come at us about mispronouncing a name.
Yeah, don't judge us on how we pronounce things and our mistakes. Look at our hearts.
Yeah, look at our hearts. That's like somebody on Reddit saying, you forgot a period here. Now your entire argument is invalid. Yeah, we're going to mispronounce things. We're
flawed.
We're flawed.
Yeah. So in the spring of 1665, fishermen near the city of Stralsund watched in awe as an impossible event unfolded above them. A fleet of dark shapes appeared in the sky, moving with intelligence, engaging in a fierce battle. Smoke, fire, and cannon-like flashes erupted in the air, and then, a final haunting sight, a massive, disc-like object, dark as the moon during an eclipse, hovered silently above the city's church. According to Franceschi's account, the fishermen saw a large flock of birds forming a ship-like shape. The ship from the north was soon joined by numerous others, followed by a fleet from the south. A fierce battle ensued, with cannon fire and smoke. A flat, round object like a plate or a large hat then emerged from the sky, shining with colors akin to a darkened moon, and hovered motionless above St. Nicholas Church until evening. The initial leaflet stated, "A little while later, out of the middle of the sky appeared to them a round flat form like a plate and like a big man's hat, with colors like the moon when eclipsed."
Okay.
That's bonkers.
Bonkers.
That's
But what was included in that account?
that's straight up bonk.
Birds.
Birds.
Yeah, birds being weird.
Yeah. And I also read somewhere that it looked, when the birds made the ship-like shape,
Yeah.
that it looked as though there were ghostly apparitions moving along the ships.
Ooh, that's spooky.
Yeah.
What do you think that was?
I don't know. I mean, it's possible that it could be, we've talked about multidimensional beings. You know, if we're getting a glimpse, or these fishermen were getting a glimpse into a battle that wasn't in our realm of existence, it was in a different timeline or a different, that'd be interesting.
I think so. They said something about cannon fire there.
Yeah.
Imagine you work for whatever, the military of that time, like the town guard, right? And you have a cannon. You are going to be itching at the opportunity to fire that cannon off. You're going to look for any opportunity to do that because it's going to be fun, like a big loud boom, and you get to see destruction. That's like a little boy's dream, right? I think that they may have saw a murmuration and they're like, let's fucking shoot it. Let's shoot into this big flock of birds. And so that's what happened. Maybe.
Okay. So you're saying that potentially these people were watching this murmuration happen and they were observing it.
And they were like, smash the fucking birds.
As though someone like us would watch the clouds and try to come up with an image.
No, they saw this murmuration, this bunch of birds, and they have a cannon there, and they're just like, we're just going to shoot into that flock of birds and see what happens. Just like you would shoot a cannon into a tree or a rock wall or whatever. You're just going to be looking for an opportunity to shoot a cannon off. If you had a cannon here at your house, Josh, you would want, every celebration, you'd be firing that cannon off.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't even need a celebration.
No, you wouldn't. It could be 2 a.m.
That's how I would get my kids up in the morning.
Yeah, cannon blast.
Cannon blast, yeah. I mean, that doesn't explain the shape that these birds made.
Again, it's an interpretation.
Yeah.
Where if you were looking at a murmuration, a group of birds from one angle, it's going to look different from somebody that's at a different angle. So it may have looked like a ball when it could have been a tube. It may have looked like a ship when it was, and they don't have the vernacular to say it looks like a UFO or a ship or, a saucer or whatever. Their idea of a ship is like something you would see in the sea. Right. Yeah,
that's what I imagine, like a ghost ship and a ghost crew. That's kind of why I brought up that earlier. And the weird thing is there's different events that happen. So that was the beginning. And then other things came down that were not bird influenced, like a large man's hat, which is
one.
The disc
over
the church.
Okay. Yeah.
That stayed there for most of the day. Well, it came in later in the day and stayed until evening. So this all happened around 2 p.m. So all these events started at 2 p.m. and then they went into the evening. The aftermath is also weird. Witnesses reported falling ill with tremors and pain in the following days. So, I mean, that's all I got. I don't know how many.
Yeah, or even if they were linked.
Yeah, they may not have been linked.
I mean, people were falling sick all the time.
That's true.
Back then. I mean, and we'll talk about this with the Battle of Los Angeles, the 5 deaths that were attributed to that event. But yeah, I mean, people are going to be sick and they're like, well, what caused it? I don't know. I saw this weird fucking thing in the sky. Well, that's got to be it. That's why you're sick and dying.
Yeah.
It's not because you're drinking water that has poop in it or you ate rotten meat that you didn't age properly,
Yeah.
Any number of things.
So here are the theories. There's a handful of theories around natural phenomenons, but a lot of them have been debunked just because, like I said, there's different things that happened.
Yeah.
And all of these can't make multiple things. So there was ice halos, astronomical events, and cloud formations. Those are considered unlikely due to the specifics of the sighting, including the description of the darkened moon or the eclipsed disk and the lack of local geographic features associated with the lenticular cloud formation. Some people say a theory could be a mirage, but that is also unlikely because, like I said, it started at 2 and went into the evening. Mirages usually don't last that long. That's usually like a heat and light thing.
I don't know.
Unless time stood still.
I don't know.
Which could be aliens.
Could have been food poisoning. Like, that's another thing that nobody, like, I'm just saying, the person that wrote this could have been on some hallucinogenic and seen some wild ass shit.
Yeah, there could have been mold in the city's water. Everyone got high and then sick.
Really sick.
Yeah. Another theory is the flock of starlings theory. This is the most plausible natural explanation, as the behavior of a large flock of starlings during roosting aligns with some aspects of the sighting.
Yeah.
However, the reports of smoke, crossfire, and physical illness in witnesses remain unexplained.
Sure. I think we explained it, though. I don't think any other explanation needs to be done. I think that we nailed it.
The water.
Poop in the water.
Yeah.
Interesting side note on that, poop in the water. Because water was so bad, this is like the rise of beer and wine, because that process would kill bacteria.
But they didn't know it. But
they didn't know it.
That's what they drank. The people that survived, like the Black Death.
Yep. You would have like table wine that had maybe 2% or less alcohol, and it was something that everybody in the house drank.
Yeah. They boiled the water, which cleaned it.
Yep.
The UFO community and experts, they think the event is a common candidate for pre-modern UFO sightings, with similar aspects to modern-day accounts of UFO activity.
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, all of these have a handful of things in common. We'll talk about the commonality near the end, but yeah, this is number 3, and we're going to move on to number 4, one of the bigger ones, especially because
we're jumping way into the future now.
Yeah. Do you know the date?
It was 1942.
Yeah, February.
So just after Hawaii had been, Pearl Harbor had been attacked.
Yeah. A little less than 3 months. So the Battle of LA.
So everybody's like in a very heightened sense.
Yeah.
There are air raid sirens all along the West Coast. Everybody is on a heightened alert. We are now engaged in World War II.
Yeah, because of Pearl Harbor, all the coastal cities were prepared for things like this. They were doing tests and drills. People had blackout curtains installed in their house to block light.
Yeah, because back then you would navigate a lot through sight.
Yeah.
And so flying into a city, if a city was blacked out from the air, was really hard. And I mean, it seems silly, but
it works.
It worked. And so flying through the air, if you didn't see a bunch of lights, you wouldn't necessarily
fly
know.
over the city.
You just fly right over the city. You wouldn't know that you're flying over a city.
Yeah. And so that happened. They got the call to do a blackout in LA.
Wouldn't you say that's convenient if the entire city has blacked out their windows and now they can't see?
Oh, come on.
Come on. I mean, it was so controlled back then that they didn't allow people to walk around and light cigarettes during a blackout.
Yeah, they had patrols. I saw an image, a little clip of a blackout patrol vehicle that was driving around, making sure that everyone was following the rules. I mean, it was basically a temporary, quick martial law is what would happen. And they would cut out electricity, and then there's no light. And it's at nighttime, you would not know the city was there from the air.
Correct.
So this is a tense night. February 1942, LA fell under siege. And nobody knows from who, really. There's speculation. This is one that when I tell people that I have a podcast about this topic, this is probably one of the most...
They don't lock you up?
I don't talk to CIA and FBI agents.
But maybe you talk to somebody who knows a CIA
maybe,
or
probably.
FBI agent.
But when I talk to people, this is one of the more common stories that people bring up. Like, have you heard about this? Have you heard about the LA sky battle?
Gonna be honest, I just found out about this.
Did you?
Yeah, no surprise.
No, it's fine.
No surprise to anybody else that listens to the show.
I mean, I found out about this maybe a year ago. So, I mean, I'm new. I don't know a lot. I think I saw it in some alien TV show somewhere, but I never researched it or anything until now for this show. So what happened is the military searchlights cut through the darkness, illuminating an unidentified object in the sky. That was the end result. That was the...
Oh, so now it's over.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
But before, there was an object, an unidentified target, picked up around 120 miles off the West Coast. And remember, this is 3 months after Pearl Harbor, so we're on alert. At 7:18 p.m., the air raid alert was called.
Yeah.
And then at around 10:23, they lifted it. And everyone was kind of relieved. Like, okay, good. There's false alarm. But at around 2:15, radars picked up this target. And at 2:21, a total blackout was ordered for Los Angeles by the regional controller.
Right.
And then at 2:25, the air raid sirens went off all over Los Angeles County.
Mhm.
And thousands of air raid wardens were summoned to their positions because with the earlier attack at Pearl Harbor, they started planning out positions and they're adding anti-aircraft guns all up and down the coast, hidden in barns. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
And then everyone gets in position. At 3:16 a.m., the 37th Coast Artillery Brigade began firing. They fired over 1,400 anti-aircraft rounds, and yet nothing was brought down. No enemy aircrafts were recovered, no bombs were dropped, but a lot of reports came through from people in the town that they saw numerous aircrafts at varying speeds and altitudes above Los Angeles. The artillery fire continued sporadically until 4:14 a.m. until the all clear was sounded, and then the blackout was lifted at 7:21 a.m. Wild night.
Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit from this website. It's called Celebrate California, and the web address is california.library.ca.gov.
This is California's website.
This is
basically,
yeah. It's an informational website put out by the state of California, their government. Okay, so in Washington D.C., Navy Secretary Frank Knox says, as far as I know, the whole raid was a false alarm and could be attributed to jittery nerves. Secretary of War Henry Stimson says 15 unidentified aircraft were over Los Angeles, possibly commercial aircraft operated by the enemy from secret fields in California or Mexico, or light planes launched from Japanese submarines. Their goal is to determine the location of anti-aircraft defense or damage civilian morale, Stimson says. But returning to the Army Air Force in World War II, they said probably much of the confusion came from the fact that anti-aircraft shell bursts caught by the searchlights were themselves mistaken for enemy planes. In any case, the next 3 hours produced some of the most imaginative reporting of the war. Swarms of planes, or sometimes balloons, of all possible sizes, numbering from 1 to several hundred, traveling at altitudes which ranged from a few thousand feet to more than 20,000, and flying at speeds which were said to have varied from very slow to over 200 miles an hour, were observed to parade across the skies. These mysterious forces dropped no bombs, and despite the fact that 1,440 rounds of anti-aircraft ammunition were directed against them, suffered no losses. So, and then that goes on to this journalist who had also talked to somebody who served in one of the anti-aircraft batteries, and he said, early in the war, things were pretty scary, and the Army was setting up coastal defenses. At one of the new radar stations near Santa Monica, the crew tried in vain to arrange for some planes to fly by so that they could test the system. So they want to test this radar system, right? No planes in the area because they have all been dispatched, right?
Yep.
As no one could spare the planes at the time, they hit upon a novel way to test the radar. One of the guys bought a bag of nickel balloons and then filled them with hydrogen, attached metal wires, and let them go. Catching the offshore breeze, the balloons had the desired effect of showing up on the screens, proving the equipment was working. So the equipment is catching the metal, right?
Right.
From these balloons.
Yeah.
But because they can't see anything bigger, they're like, what the fuck is this? After traveling a good distance offshore into the south, the nightly onshore breeze started to push the balloons back towards the coastal cities. The coastal radars picked up the metal wires, and the searchlights swung automatically on the targets, looking on the screens as aircraft heading for the city. The ACAC started firing, and the rest was history. So, because everybody was so on edge and so worried, it was more of like a shoot first, ask questions later type scenario, where they saw something that was unidentified. You know, if it was a U.S. military plane, they would identify themselves coming in because they're not going to want to get it. They know that we have these bases and these anti-aircraft artillery shooters, whatever they're called, big guns, big fucking guns.
Boom booms.
Set up, and they're not going to want to get shot, friendly fire. So these weather balloons obviously did not communicate. They thought, oh, it's got to be the Japanese, and they just started firing. They're like, better be safe than sorry. We can't have another attack like Pearl Harbor. We're just going to start fucking firing.
So I'm going to throw this back on you and say that these weather balloons...
They're not weather balloons. They're just tiny little...
these balloons, these nickel balloons.
Full of helium. Just tiny little balloons that you'd buy at a pharmacy.
They could not be real. This is potentially just one man's testimony that this is what they did to test it.
Sure.
And we don't know. And the big confusion around this whole event is that there are a bunch of different stories. Even the top brass couldn't get it straight. You had someone saying one thing, another saying another, saying that it was a fluke. There was nothing there. It was just trigger happy, scared people, and then another saying...
I wouldn't say trigger happy. I would say terrified members of coastal force. They were terrified.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's been drilled into their head that this is going to happen because it already did. I do want to point out that there was a lot of damage that happened because of the bullets, which is...
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're going to fire 1,400 rounds of something, there's going to be some collateral damage.
Yeah, there's a lot of buildings that were damaged, a lot of vehicles. And like you mentioned before, some people died because when this was happening, first of all, it's the middle of the night, it's a blackout, and it's loud. Everyone thought bombs were dropping because of how loud it was. I mean, there was a war. This has never happened in the United States. I don't even think since. All these people in LA thought there was a war going on. So there was panic. Everyone was running around. 2 people died of a heart attack because of the stress of them thinking that it's happening. And then 3 were killed in car accidents trying to escape.
Right. But isn't that on them? They should have been at home. It was a blackout, right?
I mean...
Was it the blackout police that maybe got hit?
You shouldn't be driving in a blackout.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's on them.
They're not allowed to turn on their lights. And if they did...
I was surprised that that's what they reported on. Like, to me, I was like, okay, so 2 people died of a heart attack. All right, so this thing happened. Now we're just going to say, oh, they died as a direct result of this. It wasn't like bad health, or maybe they had, some congenital problems or any other thing that could have led to them having a heart attack. We're going to say it was a definite result of this. That's fine.
I mean, they still do that in today's news.
Sure.
You know,
that's fine. Okay. And then the 2 accidents. I was surprised that firing 1,400 rounds of something didn't result in a death. That was what was shocking to me.
I mean, that alone could be aliens, protectors of Earth.
Right. But what happened? I mean, they put themselves in the line of fire. Where are their ships? Where's the fallout from that?
Well, maybe the nickel balloon thing was real, and maybe they started firing and there was a lot of damage and a lot of people's lives at risk. And then the aliens showed up to save everyone.
Okay.
Because there was a point where the spotlights were finally kind of all converged to one location, and it was shining on something in the sky, and it was big, but you can't, and there's an image, a very famous image of this. You can't really see what it is because so many spotlights were shining on it. But it is a very interesting looking potential spaceship style thing. It is completely illuminated. Maybe that was a UFO.
Yeah, I'm looking at that and it looks like a doctored video.
But that's an original image from the newspaper.
Yeah, but I mean, you could get an original image of a movie film and put it in the newspaper and say it's original.
I mean, you could, but that's a speculation. I'm just going with what we have, And I'm not truly saying that the aliens came and saved that, I'm just not discounting that this potentially could be something because, I mean, this is history. This is a long time ago. There was a lot of fear. But if we look at modern day, our pilots and our military are still having very bizarre encounters in the sky. And for some reason, after this point, we're not really attacking back. We're just kind of letting them do their thing. So with the combination that, looking at through a 2025 lens, it is possible that this is another one of those.
Well, like the rules of engagement have changed since we've introduced jets into fighting. So like planes are a very new factor in war, right? And so back then the rules of engagement were a lot different than they are now, where it's like, just hold on, wait a second, don't fire until you're fired upon, that sort of thing. So I mean, there's still I'm sure a lot of shoot first, ask questions later.
Yeah, in some
certain situations. But as far as like engaging with the quote unquote enemy, those are different.
Yeah. And this was a high stakes situation too.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, we're right on the dawn of World War II for us, as far as we're concerned. Like they've been fighting in Europe for 5 or 6 years at this point. And we had decided to stay out until we were brought in by the Japanese.
Well, I mean, it is still one of those that is just unexplained. We just don't know all the facts. It is bizarre. Bizarre enough to have even a lot of people in today's day and age still questioning it with all the information that we have. I mean, we have a lot more information than back then. And even back then, they were just like, oh, the UFOs and all that stuff. It still wasn't, it wasn't hot. People didn't think.
Well, a couple years after this, Orson Welles has his War of the Worlds broadcast that sent people into panic. And
this was That was before. That was,
What was it before?
That was 1938.
Oh, shit. So,
Yeah. So it is in the back of their minds somewhere, but it wasn't a common thought. It wasn't mainstream. It wasn't anything like it is now. Or a couple of years later, especially with Roswell. When was Roswell? 44? 46. It was right after World War II. So there are some conspiracy theories. I mean, it could have been the Japanese coming.
Yeah.
That is very real. And you know what? It could have, and it could have been a cover-up. You know, it could have just been a military war cover-up. Ufologists think a possible encounter with an extraterrestrial object fueled by photos showing that searchlight converging on that central object, like I talked about, and then the aircraft maneuvering in anomalous ways. And some fringe elements of this theory include the recovery of 2 crafts, one off the coast and one in San Bernardino Mountains. And then, I mean, just the public response is a huge range of reactions and interpretations of the event, including skepticism about the official explanation and the demand for more truthful explanations. So overall, these 4 events have a lot in common. They have a lot of connections. All 4 events involved a lot of witnesses observing unusual aerial phenomena.
Allegedly.
Indicating the events were not isolated or hallucinated. It wasn't hallucination. There goes our...
No, I could write all of this stuff in here too. I could put that in the dossier and say that it was a hallucination. You would read it just like it was a fact.
Yeah, but I'm saying that it's most likely not a hallucination because of how many people saw it.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, you're going to leave this room alive.
Whoa.
Come on, Travis, sky battles.
I know it's
sky
battles, but I don't want to put too much faith in the accounting of one person.
We need this.
I mean, I really want it.
I know.
But, okay, so allegedly a bunch of people saw these, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Also, the connection is just smoke, fire, crossfire, ships, disc spheres, just weird shapes and behaviors. I mean, that correlates with all of these.
Sure.
Sky battles.
Yeah, sky battles.
And also just the correlation of battles. They all mentioned that there was fighting or military maneuvering.
Well, what they thought, they interpreted it as fighting. Like you talked about, though, Carl Jung interpreted it a different way. It could have been a mass mating ritual that these beings, maybe extraterrestrial beings, were observing, where they all come together. It could have been a way for them to communicate. So that's another thing, is we're interpreting this in our own dumb Earth way, right?
Right.
We don't know that these people even have vocal cords or have evolved the same way we have with speech. Like, there are ideas out there that maybe they are communicating with us, and it's through blowing of leaves or a certain way up something is arranged, like through patterns, because they haven't evolved through speech. And we have a lot of creatures here on Earth that communicate through one form or another.
Yeah.
And not communicating is also a form of communication, right? But they do it without use of vocal cords like we have. Like, we are anomalous of all the species on planet Earth.
Yeah, for us to be able to speak.
For us to be able to speak and communicate these ideas is
bizarre. Yeah. You mentioned wartime paranoia, and that kind of correlates with, I mean, not just Los Angeles, but you were saying we're kind of in the midst of...
I mean, we talked about this like very early on. We're a very violent people. Like, human beings are violent and prone to violence. Extreme
and in Europe, in the 1500s, there was a lot of violence.
Oh, tons, yeah.
So it's not just LA being so close to World War II and Pearl Harbor. I mean, no one knows what was happening in Europe in the 1500s.
Nobody.
No one.
No, it's the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
But outside of these broadsheets and leaflets, we don't know what was going on.
Yeah. I was kidding, but yeah, you're right. They could have written their own history.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
It could have been paradise. We could have had crazy technology back then, and they just were like, no, we're just going to say we didn't.
Yeah. Marty McFly was in his time machine back there and saying, you guys need to write it like this was a very dark time, because I don't want anybody to look back too fondly on human history.
Yeah. So in conclusion, overall, these events will always remain a mystery. While natural phenomena, psychological factors, and wartime anxiety likely contribute to some of the explanations, the consistency of a lot of the elements across these sightings and the detailed events, and the fact that some of the aspects cannot be easily attributed to any of these known phenomena, fuel the ongoing interest of skeptics, researchers, and UFO geeks like us.
Sure.
So let us know what you think. If you think we're full of shit.
Sky battles?
Sky battles. Yeah.
Just tell us what you think of sky battles. What is your first Your first response. That's what I want to know.
And did we follow through? Were you really excited about sky battles and then you heard us talk about it and you're like, oh shit. So if you want to get a hold of us, talk to us, any of that, there'll be a link in our show notes to do fan mail.
Sure.
You just click on that and then you can just send us a message directly and we will get it.
Yeah. Josh is very active on the socials, so you can hit him up there. I am not.
Yeah. Just get a hold of us. And I'm excited that you guys are listening.
Do we have a quiz for this week or no?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we got a quiz. So we're going to do the baseline quiz. We're just going to give you a sneak peek into the topic of the next episode by taking a quiz to see how much we know and to let you know that we don't know a lot.
Mm-hmm. So the topic of our next episode is going to be crop circles.
Oh, just finding out that that's what we're talking about. Okay. I mean, I've heard a lot about crop circles. I don't know a lot. I've just heard different things. I've watched some documentaries. They've talked about it, but I haven't researched anything. Well, okay. I'm excited about this.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into this. Question 1. When was the earliest known mention of a crop circle-like phenomenon? Is it A, 84 BC, B, 1291, C, 1678, or D, 1823? I have no idea.
I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm going to make a wild guess, and I'm going to say 84 BC.
I was leaning towards that, but man.
And I know that, and I'm going to say, not because of a crop circle. There's this thing in the UK, and I was trying to remember what it's called. It's not like the Green Man or something like that, but it's a figure on a hillside that looks like a giant man. And I think it's like a druidic thing, something that was done by the druid population. And I think it's very old. So I'm going to guess 84, and all this information I'm throwing out is probably wrong because I'm misremembering huge chunks of this story, but I'm going to say very old, 84 BC.
Okay. I'm going to say B, 1291.
Okay.
And I don't know why. I'm just guessing. Because, I mean, I've
got to feel it.
Yeah, I'm just guessing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next question. Who were the two pranksters who famously admitted to creating many of the crop circles in the late 20th century?
Mm-hmm.
Was it A, Dave and Buster, B, Doug and Dave?
Wow, Dave's really showing up.
Yeah. C, Bill and Bob, or D, Tom and Jerry?
I want to say Dave and Buster because it's silly, because there's a Dave and Buster's.
But what if they name themselves after?
But what if, well, I mean, Dave's a pretty common name.
Yeah, Buster
and
is.
I know a lot of these crop circles showed up in Europe. Does Buster seem like a European name? I don't know. Tom and Jerry is also another one. I feel like it was a very cartoony name. I'm going to say Dave and Buster.
I feel like Dave and Buster and Tom and Jerry are joke ones because Dave and Buster's and Tom and Jerry, cat and mouse, but they are also very common names. Yeah. So it's like
Buster's like, I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm leaning on Doug and Dave or Bill and Bob.
Okay.
I'm going to say Doug and Dave because that sounds like two people who would be pranksters.
No, we'll get Doug and Dave back at it again.
Yeah. It just
Don't
sounds...
shake hands with them. Their hand might be wet or you might get a buzz.
So I'm going to go Doug and Dave.
Okay.
And you were Dave and Buster?
I was Dave and Buster. Correct.
Okay. Next question. In which country have the most crop circles been reported? A, United States, B, Australia, C, Brazil, or D, the United Kingdom?
What do you say? I say United Kingdom.
I say the United States.
Okay.
Logically, I think the UK, but I'm saying the United States.
Okay.
I have that feeling.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut, and let's move on to the next one.
All right. Which of the following has not been theorized as a crop circle explanation? Is it A, giant moles creating underground designs, B, alien spacecraft landings, C, sonic frequencies shaping the plants?
I love this one. The one you're about to read.
Or D, wallabies getting high on opiates? Okay. That would be hilarious. If all the crop circles were just high animals. Yeah. Just glazed eyes bending plants.
And then laughing.
Yeah. I know the giant moles are a real thing.
They were
a real thing. But I don't know how creating underground designs could affect. I mean, it could, but I don't know.
That it manifests in this way hundreds of thousands of years later is wild.
Yeah. Alien spacecrafts,
Which
obviously.
is why we are here today.
Sonic frequencies. So this has not been theorized. So this is
Yeah, this is not a theory. So we are sussing out the least likely or the one that nobody's
mentioned.
taking seriously.
I mean,
There's an obvious one on there, Josh.
yeah, I'm going to say
Alien spaceships.
wallabies getting high.
Wallabies getting high on opiates is what I'm going to say too. Now
Yeah.
that's probably true. And
It
that's
probably is in Australia.
as a joke. They probably said it as a joke and it showed up to throw us off.
Or someone has a video of wallabies doing that. And they're like, hey, this could be crop circles.
I just think Jordan is fucking with us.
It could be.
And
This could be all
maybe an
fake.
Australian had said it's wallabies as a joke, and that was in the reading, and it's actually like giant moles or something like that.
Yeah. All right. Next question.
Mm-hmm.
What is the folklore name of the entity blamed for crop circles in the 17th century England? A, the corn
I
goblin.
love all of these names.
Yeah.
The corn goblin especially. I'm going to get your corn.
B, the mowing devil. C, the field phantom. Or D, the harvest elf. So I like A, corn goblin.
I like A so much. I'm going to say corn goblin. I love it. I think that's going to be my Halloween costume.
The corn goblin.
I'll figure it out. Yeah.
You just throw corn at kids
I love it so
and then
much.
yell, I'm the corn goblin.
I'm the corn goblin. Heard of me?
Yeah, all these are really good. And I can see all of them working. I'm going to say the harvest elf.
Okay.
And you're sticking with corn goblin?
I am going to stick with corn goblin. I just love it so much.
I hope that's it.
So do I.
All right, last question. What is the largest recorded crop circle formation? Is it A, 100 feet wide,
Mhm.
B, 500 feet wide, C, over 800 feet wide, or D, over 2,000 feet wide?
I'm going big boy.
I am too, because I've seen some formations that were multiple circles,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a formation would be all of those circles combined. So I'm going to say D.
Sure.
All right, let's check our answers.
Oh.
Oh. Okay, so we'll start.
Oh.
He's quickly checking all of his answers.
I knew it.
Sounds like he's getting most of them right.
No.
Okay, so we'll start at the beginning.
Yeah.
When was the earliest known mention of a crop circle-like phenomenon? I said 1291. You said 84.
84 PC.
It is 1678.
Uh-huh.
All right. Next
Dang,
one.
You got Doug and Dave.
Who were the two pranksters who famously admitted to creating the crop circles in the late 20th century? Doug and Dave?
Yeah. Not the ones we know and love that let you drink while playing video games.
Yeah. I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so next one. In which country have the most crop circles been reported?
Yes.
It is the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I knew that 100%.
I didn't. I thought, it's gotten popular in the US. I don't know.
I told you this. This next one, I worked out in my head that we were being fucked with. And I
oh
still.
my gosh. Okay. Which of the following is not theorized as crop circle explanations?
Damn it.
It's the giant moles creating underground designs. I
Yeah.
should have stuck with that. I was leaning towards that.
That's the one I said too. I was like, an Australian said, it's just those wallaby. I can't do an Australian accent. I can say razor blades with an Australian accent.
Do it.
Rise up lights.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good.
You know the secret?
No.
You say rise up lights.
Oh, okay. Cool.
There you go.
I'll practice that later. But you were almost on to something when you were saying that these giant mole caverns affecting it that much later, like tens of thousands of years.
I knew I was being fucked with personally. And that wallabies getting high on opiates was thrown in there because if you know a little something about me, I love animals getting fucked up. Love it.
It's one of your favorite things.
One of my favorite things.
But we have to legally say that he doesn't do that. He doesn't get animals fucked up.
No, I am a free choice person and I want animals to be able to get fucked up in their own time. I'm not drug police. I just love it when they get out their little phones and they record them getting fucked up and doing crop circles.
I hope there's video.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next one. What is the folklore name of the entity blamed for the crop circles in the 17th century England?
Yeah.
You said corn goblin.
Yeah.
I said harvest elf. It's the mowing devil.
I knew in my heart, I knew it wasn't going to be corn goblin, but I liked it. And I suspected it was probably going to be something dumb and pedantic like the mowing devil.
And devil, religious. We
Yeah.
talked about that in this whole episode. They saw everything as religious. And last one, what is the largest recorded crop circle formation? We both said over 2,000 feet wide. That is incorrect. It's over 800 feet wide, which is still huge.
Big.
Big boy.
It is. It's a pretty big boy.
So I got one correct.
I got one correct too.
Did you?
Yeah.
And it wasn't the same one.
No, I got the United Kingdom. That was the only one.
And I got Doug and Dave. Wow. Well, we have a lot to learn. This is going to be a fun one, I think.
This is going to be a fun one. I do like, I remember crop circles being a thing. That was a thing that happened in my lifetime and yours.
Yeah. Well, and millions of other people.
Yeah.
Since the first ones in the 1600s.
Well, I'm just saying, like, what we know crop circles to be, that happened, like those two pranksters, that happened in our lifetime.
Yes. Yeah. Well, hey, thank you for listening, and I hope you tune in for this next episode of Crop Circles.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks for listening.
All right, bye.
Bye.